Good morning. Welcome to Saturday Morning Runnings, coming to you live from inside the zone with Lady D Denise Gomez, the platform where voices are heard and people connect. Welcome to another exciting feature of the program where we talk about our traditions and cultures, memories of our childhood, and boats of laughter. This morning's topic, our favorite teacher. Teachers are extraordinary, and as children, we had our favorites. We recall how they taught us to read and write, wiped our snotty noses, allowed us to sit by them as they graded papers, and even walked us home after school. But the most endearing moments were the assignments. Example, carrying their bags, cleaning the blackboard, and running errands during break time. In addition, we were the first to raise our hands, me teacher, and to answer questions during class. Naturally, all these activities did not go unnoticed. We were teased by our friends and classmates who labeled us teacher's pet, teacher's pet. Were you a teacher's pet? This morning, we're sure to find out. So, a Saturday morning runnings, come make we talk about our favorite teacher now. Welcome, ladies. Of course, Jackie Brainbox Tyson. Trinette Mingnut Brown will be a tad late. Max is here, Max Spoiled Lions, and Jennifer Douglas, aka Miss Jen. She's unavoidably absent. But we miss you, Jen. You know how it go. Runnings
Yay,
are
we missed
runnings.
Jen.
Morning, ladies.
You'll catch
Morning,
up. Good
Lady D.
morning.
Morning, Max.
Good
How
morning,
you do?
Principal. Good morning,
Good morning,
Jackie.
Principal.
Good morning, students. You
So my
seem
granny make me wear frock to the teacher because my grandmother said today is Friday and my
Mhm.
uniform too dirty, so she make me wear a little blouse today with a little shorts.
Well, for a moment, I'm thinking that you all don't realize that you have now matured and you're at a higher level. So, my dear, are you still stuck at the primary level?
Not really teacher, but my uniform is kind of dirty teacher.
Teacher, remember when me did come to school and me used to talk a lot in the class?
I
See me here
do.
now, me there at
Jacqueline,
college.
there you go.
I,
Congratulations.
I am, you did teach me good English, so I am in college.
Congratulations to you. I tell you, Lord, another Saturday. Can you guys imagine? Each
These
week
are the
we
weeks
meet
are just
here,
flying.
and then
Yeah,
we so this. So in the week, and we need to huddle. We huddle.
yes.
But
Mhm.
somebody's phone. I do apologize. Keep dialing me. Okay, so um,
Are they hearing us? Is everything okay with their audio?
well, I'm going to hope so
Okay.
because yes, I'm thinking we're good.
Okay, I think so.
I think maybe he. Okay. So, would like to welcome everyone. And again, we need, in the week, I'm like, oh, so I need to touch base with the girls because we're not,
Yes.
so as we are moving through our different schedules,
Everything
we do
topics.
know our commitments and we have to maintain
Yes.
our presence on a Saturday morning. And I'm so glad you guys really came on board. It has brought life to what we do as individuals, in our
Yes.
respective fields and to entertain our
Yeah, and I
audience.
really and truly look forward to this show.
So
Believe it
Saturday
or it
morning.
is. And I'm
Yeah.
on so many different platforms, so I do share it, on the platform that I'm on.
Yes. And we
This is Saturday
appreciate.
morning is this time on Saturday is my downtime because during the week I'm at school from 7:30. So that means I have to wake up early, very
Mm-hmm.
early. So I'm at school from 7:30 sometimes until 4 most days. So
Yeah.
Saturday morning is my downtime.
Mm-hmm.
So
And we're so glad that all our um, viewers, they get a chance to really
Tap in.
enjoy
jump
their
in and
their
share.
your mornings with us too and share and
And
things.
add the laughter.
And
The
add the
laughter.
laughter,
I'm here for the laughter, the jokes.
which we do have quite a bit of. Yes, we have
Absolutely,
quite a
yeah.
bit of that. What happened
You're
over
here
the
for the laughter, me there for the grin.
Yes, Max.
but Max, that's not a grin, that's an actual laugh. That
I'm going
Laugh.
for grin.
yes.
See, somebody asked me, what make me I feel skin my teeth so throughout the show. Because most time throughout the show, this is me.
Yeah.
Throughout the show,
But that's
this
that's
is me right through
natural.
the show.
But that's natural for you, right? Your face, all of us have, different characteristic features in our
Yes.
faces. Some of us appear a little more serious. Some
Yes,
people's
that's
faces
true.
just come alive without much work.
Right.
They don't have to do
Exactly.
anything. That's just how they are. And you're one of those
Absolutely.
persons. So we have two of our guests on so far. Vero, Vero, you need to come on one morning. I'm going to send you the link and you come talk about your days in Westmoreland, White House, and share some of your stories with us, man. We
Yes,
want
that
to
was
hear.
Okay,
And,
Vero.
Yeah.
we can invite you all to come,
Put you on the spot.
we put you and you talk, man, and say, Lady D, we used to do stuff and stuff. Morning, princess. I missed you this week.
Yes,
That's a great
princess.
idea.
Andrea Semidea. Morning, Drea.
Morning, everyone.
Morning,
Y-
morning.
Lady D, you may just tap into something here, because every show that you watch or blogs or whatever, they're inviting or encouraging people to come and watch them, but never invited the regular person who's watching you to come on the show.
Yeah.
So
Right,
that's a
right.
difference. That's
Yes.
something that people,
Maybe once
you never know who we might choose.
That's
It could be
right.
something big.
And I have reached out, I have reached out, not publicly like this. I do it behind the scenes and I'll reach out
Yes.
but sometimes their schedule doesn't fit. Some people I
Right.
know who would really bring it. But their
Yes.
Yeah.
schedule
Like when
don't
like
fit.
when
And
Ricky
what
came
you
on
do
that
is
morning,
Right.
that
When
was
Right.
like meat.
Right. And even when we had
Yeah.
Ricky on the last time, that was spontaneous. He just sent me a note and
Yes.
said, I want to come, and so you're all welcome to come. You just come and line with us because we're cool like that and have
Yeah.
fun with us on a Saturday morning. It's 10 minutes after 10 o'clock and 10 minutes after 9 o'clock in Jamaica. Welcome to you, everyone. It is our favorite teacher. Me tell you, say my long-term memory not so sharp like yours. So there may be a few I can recall. I can recall, but certainly we're going to talk about it. And the teacher's pet part, I think I fell in that category, so I had to drop it in. Yeah, but we should be having a good time this morning. Just want to remind you that if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do so. All you need to do is just press the word. Last time
Subscribe.
we said juke last time in the Patwa segment. Just tap the word subscribe, and then you'll see a bell. You tap on the bell, then you'll see the word all. And once you see the word all, we're good. You'll just get me every time I'm broadcasting. As a
It's
matter
weird
of
for
fact,
some people, Lady D. For some people, the all doesn't show up. It just says
no,
subscribe. Like when I was subscribing, I just
really,
clicked on subscribe. It just showed me subscribe. I just clicked on subscribe, and that was it.
must it the Apple people then?
Yeah, maybe
I
it depends
guess.
on
Yes.
the device you're using. Yeah.
It's the Apple people. Okay, good morning. Welcome again. So let's pop up here and say hi. Morning, Vero. Morning, Princess.
Morning, Princess. Morning, Vero. Morning, Andrea.
And so, Princess, kick off already. My favorite teacher was Miss Yours, who turns 92. Well, she turned 92
Wow.
weeks ago.
Few
Lady D, I'm
weeks
not
ago.
sure if
Wow.
when you came to Penance, if she and her principal husband already left. No, when I came, Teacher Harris was there, but they left shortly after. Mhm. The principal was Teacher Harris. So thank you for that, Princess. And Rick, we just called your name. Morning, morning. Rick,
Yes.
Morning,
Morning,
Ricky.
Ricky.
stories to share. You turned celebrity around here, Rick. So you have to keep
Celebrity.
celebrity. Thank you. So you have to keep up. Um,
Thanks, ladies, for
okay.
missing me.
You hear very about Dead with Laugh so early. I
And that's it there for
mhm.
the laughter.
Ricky says he saw Miss Years a few months ago. She's sharp as ever. Great.
Very good.
Wow. Nice.
Portia Garrix, good
Good
morning.
morning.
We say around here morning. Mawnin. You may.
Yes. Morning,
Saturday
Karsha.
morning runnings.
All right. So Princess kicked it off. So Max,
Yes.
what you have to share about your
Okay,
favorite
so
teacher?
I
And
categorize my.
were you a teacher's pet?
I wasn't a teacher. Well, yes, in high school because I segmentized my notes. I have primary school, secondary school,
Oh, yeah,
high
yeah.
school, and college.
Oh no, yeah.
Well, we
Oh, this
relying on
lady
memory
Yes.
talks.
So yes, I make my notes. So
spontaneously.
so I
Okay.
start off with the primary school. So I went to Clonmel All Age Primary School in St. Mary.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't a teacher's pet in primary school really. But what I do recall from that school was that the principal was Mr. Robinson, and of course the wife was Mrs. Robinson. We everybody called her Miss Robbie.
Mm-hmm.
She was my teacher in grade one and the other grades, and she was a no nonsense person because of course she was principal wife, so she had to act the part, I think. So she was very strict, but she was a very effective teacher. She
Mm-hmm.
taught us well. There was no sleeping in class. No matter where you want to sleep, you have to open up your eye and straighten up because it's learning time. After school, after lunchtime, most kids get
Nigga
sleepy.
right to stick your
Yeah,
man.
literally, yes.
Mm.
Yes, man.
And
Negritis.
those days where I go and pull up and drink some snow cone for lunch. So that's all we do. So when
Sugar. Sugar.
so I had issues keeping my eyes open, and she never have issue for all up the cane.
Oh gee.
Yeah, they were cane. It was a cane school. The principal who loved me
Yes.
walk around with cane all the time, and so did the wife who was my teacher. And I also recall another teacher. Her name was Miss Russell. I don't think anybody in school loved her too much. She was a very beautiful woman, but a very strict woman. She was
Mm.
so strict it wasn't funny, and she too loved the cane. I even remember where she lived. And even when I was on holiday from school, if I had to pass her house to go to the post office, I would hide and look, make sure somebody not seeing her. Because
Traumatized.
yes, I was traumatized by her.
Oh my
Mm-mm.
God.
But then I thought she still had jurisdiction over me even outside of school. Well, back then that's how it was. You couldn't misbehave because if you misbehave in school or outside of school and you were caught by a teacher, the family would have
Mm-hmm.
still be doing that in school. So I was afraid
Yeah.
of her and other students too because she was a strict woman, even though she was very pretty, strict, and she wasn't loved a lot. So that was the primary school for me,
Mm-hmm.
what I can recall in
Okay.
terms of teachers. But
Well,
of course, if you want to share more
so
now,
we so
or
we
I can
can go
share later.
around. So Jack, you start off.
Well, I started out at Free Hill All Age School, and that's in the district in St. Anne, where I'm from, Free Hill District. The principal at the time was Mr. Levers. And
Mm.
like Max, I went to school in the days when they carried around the cane. When the when the Ministry of Education would send school supplies, the roll, the pack, or the whatever they had, the bundle of cane was right on top. And when Mr. Levers would drive in, he would open the back of his trunk, and that
Oh.
would be the first thing you see. And he would ask like the older kids to come and take the things out of the car. And the cane, that's the same cane that's gonna beat you, you had to take it out of the car,
Sorry.
take it to the office. No, we had to be at school at 9 o'clock in the
Mm.
mornings. By 9 o'clock, we had to be at school. Mr. Livingston, remember, no bus now run in a them the section. You have to walk. Everybody have to walk from down a Free Hill bottom, from over Kaiser bottom, from down a Drunkro gully, and all these gullies and places. Shoes are with shoes or without shoes. Mr. Levers would come and he would stand at the gate with his hand behind his back, and the
Mm-hmm.
cane would be there. And if you're 1 minute to that gate late, you
Mm-hmm.
have to hold out your hand right there
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
take the. I saw he beat this girl one morning. Her name was Rose. Beat her till this part of her hand was swollen. and she wouldn't cry. She wasn't the kind of person to cry. She just kept doing this. I never forget that. Yeah, that was trauma for me. I never liked that, because to this day I think that's really brutal, and I'm so glad that they took that
Which
out of
means he kept hitting her in the
schools.
same spot.
Yes.
Yeah, and she just kept
Stop.
doing like this, and they
I
used to
don't
call him platypus. Oh, look here. It's this.
Good morning.
It's which foreign school you go?
It's a foreign teacher.
Let me tell you
It's a
something.
foreign teacher.
Hi.
Lord help us.
Papa is here,
no.
Brian. Hello, foreign teacher.
Hi.
Morning, Sharns.
You look like Aretha Franklin.
Yeah, tell you.
Girl, I tell you, whatever it takes.
I know, right?
Whatever it takes.
Girl of my heart, whatever it takes.
Not too much.
Yes.
Welcome, Sharns. Everybody miss you.
Thank you.
Miss you.
Hi.
So I was just doing
my
the rounds.
goodness.
Starting off with your earliest memory of the school. You started out with a basic or whatever. So and very briefly, so we can go in a segmented way. So Jackie and Max just shared theirs. I'll allow you to share yours, and then I'll do mine.
Okay. My first school was called Edwards Basic School. It's still there. The teacher was actually my neighbor, and she also was my Sunday school teacher. So I even call her auntie because she was a classmate. She was a neighbor. She was like family. So she was my first teacher in any school, Edwards Basic School.
Okay.
Yeah. So my formative years was pretty pleasant because I never had to cry to go to school because I was so used to her that I just like walked down the street with her.
Okay.
And went to school, no problem.
Nice. So for me, my first experience of being taught by a teacher was at that girls' home where my sister and I were for a short time. And
did you say girls' home?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one fact I didn't know about you.
Yeah, so when you hear I mentioned it before.
Yeah, you did.
After my parents separated.
Yeah, I thought you went straight to penance.
No.
She mentioned it when we did a folklore thing the other day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Maybe I wasn't listening.
And so, that's all right. It's good to have these kind of experiences.
No, that's
help you along. So, but the experience wasn't bad, of course. Her name was Miss Denny. She owned that home, and she had two daughters. One was a nurse, and one was going to St. Hugh's at the time. And they were really very nice to us. Of course, they had staff who helped to care for us. And so she had a class that she held on her veranda, a very long stretch of a veranda with space. It was black tiled. I remember that. And as children, we got our assignments to, each of us had like a block that you would help to polish and shine.
Yeah.
So I know today me a clean floor.
Welcome to the club.
But it was fun. She had polisher, so we know polisher long time, right? She had a polisher, but we kneeled down and did our polishing and thing, and then she would let us arrange the chairs, so the polishing and so do the day before, over weekend and thing, and we get ready for Monday. That was a very pleasant experience, and she was good. She drilled us with our ABCs and all those things. It was amazing. And that's when we learned how to work in groups. She would pair us up and we would have to test each other. And I remember, like when you would do sword in hand as a child, what she did was for the alphabets, she had us spot them. So even at 4 years old, we are learning how to know when she said M, oh, NOP, that kind of thing.
Yes.
It triggered our brains. It was a good experience starting out with Miss Denny, and she just had it on her veranda. For
Yeah.
children who, when it was time to move on, now they moved on into formal institutions and so on. But that was my first experience. And then, of course, when I went to Penance, I shared last week that I had early culinary experience.
All right. No,
Yeah.
When I
oh,
went
because of
to
early age.
I am telling you, when I went to John Austin Basic School, and in that very spot where the classroom was the little kitchenette, right? So I had those early experiences. So I can say Miss Denny would have been my very first and
Yeah.
most favorite
Favorite teacher.
teacher as a child. Yes. So what else would I have to share now? Because
I
I
don't
know.
remember. I don't think I had a favorite. I'm trying to remember even up to high school. I just know that some teachers just liked me.
Because
When
you
my Miss Johnson came to Free Hill All Age School, and she started the common entrance class, and that was my first experience of being common entrance class. And what she would do is at the end of the day, when you leave your classroom, you'd go to her classroom, and that lady would stay there with us and teach us until night, until it got dark. Teach us, because that school has never had a pass at the time for
oh,
any high school passes. And she stayed with us and she taught us. And I remember my grandfather came down to the school one evening, and my grandfather put them long, and he come and he walk up in the school. Why are you keeping them here so late?
mm-hmm.
Why you can have to walk all the way home by themselves? And Miss Johnson said, well, you can go. And we leave. And
Okay.
when I went back to her class the next day, she said, at any time you can leave this class, but I won't be keeping you here. You
Mm-hmm.
can leave this class and go home, because it must never be, I never forget, she said, it must never be said that I kept you here.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I
My grandmother was upset though that he did that, because she knew the value of staying there, because we never had that before. And it was only 6 of us in the class.
mm-hmm.
And out of that 6, one young man passed from
Wow.
that school. It was after that I left and went to, my mother put me in another school.
All right, let's hop on over to our chat, and then we'll get back to our conversation. Morning, everyone. Again, subscribe, participate in our chat room. It's always fun. Princess, Ricky, Princess is saying, if you remember her, the little Indian girl who used to be in the community. You remember Princess? You both figured it out right there. Then my Auntie Joy, who is presently in penance in Clarion.
Oh,
Ah,
That
wow.
hi,
famous
Auntie Joy.
community. Yes, the famous community in which I was raised. So Auntie
Oops.
Joy says, I'm from University of Penance.
Oh,
Okay.
yes, that's a good university.
There you go. So Auntie Joy says, good
Yes.
morning, Lady D and all the others. My favorite teacher
Morning.
was and still is Miss Ewer's teacher, Harris's wife. I spoke with her a few days before her 92nd birthday. Go on.
Wow.
That's
Then
pretty
Ricky,
Nice.
who is also a penanceite, says, my favorite teacher never taught me in a classroom for even 5 minutes. In fact, for most of my life, she wasn't even in the same school. She's a Golden Torch recipient and also was recognized on Heroes Day at King's House.
Oh, wow.
very
Yes.
nice.
Right, so Auntie
Your
Joy.
favorite teacher have to be the one
And
that teach
Ricky
you.
says, my mother, Miss Rob, retired teacher and principal. Yes, Gotti. We call her Gotti May. So Princess says, I was Miss Yours pet at John Austin Ollie. I was the only person who was allowed to get a ride off her twin girl's tricycle.
Tricycle, yes, special.
Yes, that's what it was called them times. Okay.
Tricycle, yes, I remember. Yeah.
Tricycle.
Morning, King Ryan. How you do?
Hey, Papa is
All
here.
right, Brian.
Oh,
Yes, them
yes,
slavery
them
kids.
slavery cane. Just that I didn't feel it because tears was my language.
I hated those kids, honest to God.
Mm-hmm.
You may get beaten one time with that. Never.
Me get beaten
What?
I
with
tried
more.
Oh
to.
God.
I hated
Multiple
it.
times.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan. Max, I love your top. Nice. Sure.
Thank you. When you can't fit me
Mm-mm.
anymore, me I go give you. Oh, thank you, Ryan.
So Ricky says, um, Miss Years was responsible for me going to school when I was about 4 or 5 years old. I was friends with her son, Dave, who was about 3 years older than me, and I used to sneak down to the school, which was next door. All I did was to write capital O's.
That's funny. Oh
Mm-mm.
Lord, we're having some good conversation
Yes,
this
I've
morning.
had
Yes.
favorite primary, high school, university, and college teachers. Okay, and
Nice.
Ryan him say work for school, me not sure. Okay,
Probably
Princess
never
says,
finished working.
Lord, the coconut brush was more fun because we would beat music rhythm on it.
Yeah, we
Mm-hmm.
used
Yes.
to do that. Our grandmother could do that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know how to. Yeah.
Okay. Is who this now?
Sister
Then to
Charles.
Sister Cher, you look hot. So you know, Ryan, you're going out later.
Ryan, me already went out. Me just come back in.
Oh, she had a
Oops.
hot date.
I
Me I
tell
tell
you.
you. Me up from crack of dawn. Crack of dawn.
Oh Lord.
Andre
Yes.
says, I don't remember the teacher's name, but I used to get beating with the cane because of not being able to spell certain words.
Oh.
Yes, all that was right. Me get beaten for well, I never get beaten for spell. I get beaten for maths because numbers are not my favorite thing. And boy, me get some beaten
Mm-mm.
for that. Of
Morning,
course.
Carlton. You made it. Good morning. It's indeed a pleasure being in your program, Lady D and friends. Thank you, sir. And
Thank you,
Charlie,
Barry.
our girl from the St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Yes, Sister
My
Charles.
favorite teacher was Miss Sutherland, who taught us to spell. Right.
Nice.
You stay there. All right. My favorite teacher was my mom, and I'm now proud to say I'm a trained teacher. Yes, he is. Him come from yard.
Awesome.
Him there foreign yard.
Nice.
Mhm.
Following the
My
family.
own mother
Nice.
was a
I like that.
teacher. She has never
Love that.
taught us
Yeah,
in
your
a
mother.
classroom, setting, but she was a teacher. My mother taught so many children. We applaud her. Whenever
Mhm.
my mother sent children off to other schools, I remember a few years ago, before she retired, um, there was a student who went off to Woolmer's, and the principal of Woolmer's said she needed to know who taught that child, and they reached out to my mother because that was the name she gave them, and I think the principal either sent for her. I need to ask her how that went. They sent for her or either called her because they said that I think it's the second child who have come to them from her and they're well prepared.
Good.
So I
Very good.
applaud her
Very
for
good.
that.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Teachers are to be paid. But I want to
Some
share a little bit
Yes, I was about to come back to you now, Max, because we're going around the table.
about my secondary
Where
because I went from primary to secondary. At secondary, this was where I did my JC subjects, and my teacher back then was Miss
Oh,
Daphne
you did
Chowers. She's still
JSC?
alive.
JSC?
Yes,
So
JSC
that
Jamaica School
was
Certificate. Yes,
okay.
Yes.
in secondary school.
Oh.
Yes, and I recall my teacher back then was Daphne Chowers. She
Mm-hmm.
was a very effective teacher, very friendly, very nice. Her teaching was so effective, it's not funny. Whatever she taught me, I learned except for maths. Never liked maths. And she knew I hated maths. When I see mathematics right on the board, I really used to just cringe because I just didn't like mathematics, the algebra and the a plus this equal that and all them things. I didn't thought back then I thought those were not even necessary. And now I don't even use them in my life. But
Mm-hmm.
I passed 6 JC subjects because of her, yes. And she taught me
Congrats.
a poem called entitled Rise Above the Circumstances. That is how effective her teaching was because I still remember that poem today. It's called
Mm-hmm.
Rise Above the Circumstances. Loved that school, loved her, and she lives in Chicago now. I wrote a book. You all know I'm a writer. I had my book on Deep Thoughts, and she got a copy of it, and she's so proud of me when
Wow,
she got
nice,
the
nice.
copy. Yes. So
Mm-hmm.
that was
Okay,
that's the secondary school for me. And
okay.
of course, we talk about high school after. So
Yes. So, Jax, what next level, Jackie?
Next level.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would next level would be when I left Free Hill School. I went to Hulbury All Age School because my mother didn't think that they were preparing us enough for the common entrance and high school in Free Hill because Free Hill was one of the schools that was left back a lot.
Okay.
So when I went to Hulbury All Age School, it was like a crash course in everything because some of the subjects that Mr. Thompson was the common entrance teacher, and he had a class that you would stay in all day, not just in the evenings, like when I was in Free Hill. So I would say Mr. Thompson was one. He was so patient, and he would teach me things that I wasn't even exposed to. But because I was so willing to learn, I was moving with the crowd, with the whole class.
Mm-hmm.
And when we did common entrance exam, it was the three of us that they thought I would have passed. Our names didn't come in the paper. And when they called the Board
Wow.
of Education, he took it upon himself to call the Board of Education.
Wow.
And they told him that go and get these three students in a school immediately.
Wow.
And
Wow.
they my mother, I tell you, when it comes on to education and her children, she would walk on water.
Mm-hmm.
So she got up with us, and whatever running around we had to do, she took the bus off the road, and she didn't carry any tourists for that week. Took Mr. Thompson, and we were all over the place. And she went up to St. Hilda's, and she was instrumental in getting us in high school, the three of us, even though the other two, of course, weren't her kids.
Mm-hmm.
But they were just as her, like she treated them as their own.
Well,
And
well,
we
that
were in
tells,
high school.
and that tells you a lot about how some parents really value education, especially,
Yeah.
because there are children who we know growing up, they had the potential, and you saw that if they were given the opportunity, they
Yes.
would have excelled at,
Yes. True.
so
Absolutely.
for any
So I
child.
would say Mr. Thompson. Mr. Thompson
Mhm.
was one of my favorite
Yes.
teachers.
So,
He was
Sharon,
good.
for insurance, where you say you know.
Lord. Yes, Mr. Lincoln James was undoubtedly and still is my favorite of all teachers. He taught me in grade 6, and he he was a young teacher at the time. There was a lot of older teachers around, and he taught me in grade 6, and he is the reason why I was even able to do common entrance, because back then, classes shared one blackboard, so I was not even in his class. But there's a blackboard that on one side was this
Yes.
other teacher named Miss Thompson. I was in her class, and then on the other side was Mr. James. And at the time, she lived just down across the street, so she would leave us and go home to do whatever. Her daughter was in the class. She would leave the daughter, so called in charge, same age as me, and she would just go across the street, do whatever. And so I would hear Mr. James teaching on the other side. So I would start peeking around the blackboard to see what the other kids were doing. And he caught me peeking one day, and he called me, and I thought I was in trouble. But he somehow, put me in the class and say, okay, since you don't wanna stay over there and play, you wanna pay attention, sit on this side. And he started to take an interest in me as far as my academics, like, he saw something in me then. And he said, are you in, because Miss Thompson also taught classes for kids, to preparing to sit the common entrance. So he asked me, am I in that class? And I said no, because I lived so far away from school, and none of the other children were taking common entrance lessons, that I was not taking it either, because I wouldn't have nobody to walk home with and all of that. So I told him no, and he said, no, you have to, you have the potential and so on. And he got very involved in getting me into his class, because Miss Thompson at the time, she would, she was just doing it, but not with any passion, I would say, or commitment, so to speak, because children weren't even passing. You probably would have one here, one there, but children weren't really passing. So he took me in his class, and he gave me a letter to send on to my mother or my grandmother. I remember it was $2 a month for tuition for what you call it, for kids sitting common entrance. But he was very instrumental in getting me into his class so that I could prepare for common entrance. And he even did it without the money, because it took me a while for my grandmother to get the letter to my mother in Kingston, for her to then reply and send the money and all that stuff. But he put me in his class, and he has kept up with me even to this day. This
Wow.
very day, we are now
Wow.
friends. Yeah. When I sat the and it was a long road for me, because I had gotten to the age of 11 already, and that was my last chance. That was my first and only chance. So if I didn't pass it, I didn't have another chance. And so he tutored me, he helped me, and thank God, my brain kind of quick, and I was able to pass common entrance. And he not only just left me there, and I mean, that year it was 10 of us, and it was like history in the making, because up to that time they never had so many children passing at the same time. This was 1976. And he was instrumental in getting us all prepared. And then what he did was he kept up with all of us. He never just said, well, they left the school. He would check in on us. I'm telling you,
Nice.
I don't know how he managed it. We have had conversations since then, but I don't know how he managed it. But he would go around and he would check on us. And I mean, like, physical presence. He would just come to the school. School would be dismissed, and you would see him outside. And he would say, how you doing?
Wow.
What area are you struggling in? Are you okay? Let me see your book. And he would go through. And even my graduation, he came to my graduation. He was
Oh.
like a father figure. I mean, I could
I
go
see.
on and on about Mr. James. And he's retired now. And I make it a point. He's in London right now, actually, on vacation. But I make it a point, whenever I am in Jamaica, I make sure I take him out. Not just me, but I have a clique of friends from that group, four of us still, and the four of us will take him out to a nice dinner or whatever. When he retired, we went down, we took him to a nice hotel, we did the whole nine, because he was more than a teacher to us. He
Nice.
made sure that we were kept on the straight and narrow. Those of us who needed a father figure, he was there, and he still is there to this very day. So no other teacher, if I could dip him in gold and put him on a pedestal,
You would.
I would, because
Wow.
he is a teacher beyond
Teacher
beyond
plus
all
tax.
expectation.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Teacher
Yeah.
plus tax. Yes. Nice.
yeah,
Teacher
man,
plus tax.
Great
yeah, man.
story.
Yes.
I love that. I
Yes.
remember when I went to Chapelton Primary School, Miss what's her name again? Um, I mentioned her name recently. She was a wonderful teacher. Um, she taught us poetry. The time that we are you're reading and you're hearing all these words rhyming, have a clue what
Mm-hmm.
it is to say.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
She taught you how to express, be
Oh
expressive.
yeah, oh yeah. I remember
Yes.
those days, because Mr.
Mm-hmm.
James as well had put me in spelling bee. He the one got me in spelling bee.
Mm-hmm.
And also to do festivals, when you go to festival and you would do these
Yes.
spoken
Speech
word pieces and
and
so.
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Yes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So Miss
Good
Myers,
exposure.
Miss
Mm-hmm.
Myers, Miss
Maya,
Myers,
yeah.
and Miss Morrison, I believe, were exceptionally great teachers, gifted, even without training, if you ask me.
Mm.
They were
Mm-hmm.
good. Miss Myers, we shared. You had A and B because you know they have to break you out.
Yes, we had it in high
So
school
I
Oh
too.
was
yeah.
in so I was in A, and then some other friends of mine in B. So we're in the same room, but they're separated with the blackboard.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
I
Mm-hmm.
we had
believe
that
Mm-hmm.
too.
from
Mm-hmm.
those days, our attention span became so keen.
Keen,
You
yes,
had to you wonder how teacher over this one teaching and the
Yes.
other one over here teaching,
Yes.
and you have
yes,
to concentrate.
And
yes.
Yeah.
I
And it
put
was
one
on the
blackboard
blackboard,
separation.
and it was only
Separation.
like two
Yeah,
two blackboards that separated a class on the other side from this
Right.
one. And
Yeah.
on
exactly.
this side that you are, there's a teacher here and your
And a
teacher.
teacher there.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. And
But
it's
we
the same room. It's the
and it's
same
the same
room.
Same
If
room.
you
Same
room.
room.
peek
We
to the
just
Yeah,
swap
left, you can see the
darkness.
other kids.
There you go.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
it worked. We still were able
it
to
did.
learn.
Yes.
That's where
Yeah.
Miss Myers taught us about writing a composition. To this
Mhm.
day, if I'm writing anything, I know how to create my plan. So you're writing not all over the place. So what should be in
Yes.
paragraph
Right.
Have your
four
introduction.
needed to
Yes.
be in paragraph one.
Mhm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you learned about your introduction and the body,
Mhm.
and right
Yes.
there
Mm-hmm.
at Shackleton
Yes.
Yes.
Primary.
Yes.
Yes, and
Yes.
Yes.
she
We
would
went. We
grade
went just
us
a
And
different
your
setting.
conclusion and
and
all
your
of that stuff.
Yes.
conclusion.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Yeah.
Miss
Yes.
Myers
Yes.
was amazing.
Yeah.
And then when I went over to that would have been what no grade five or four, five or so. There was Miss Ricky. What Gail mother name again? She was let me forget the teacher name, but anyway, she too was good. That's where I learned Nature by H.D. Carberry. We have neither summer nor winter. And
Winter.
then, I know, and I'm telling
Woo.
you, those things have
Neither
Yes.
been.
autumn nor
Yes.
spring. Bring it
No,
on.
I'm
autumn
telling
I
you,
nor
know.
spring.
said,
Yes.
Yeah.
said the days when the lush green, listen to me.
Yes.
And she would
Yeah,
put us,
man.
she set us up like we are on stage in the
Yes.
classroom. So
Yes.
she
Yes.
give you a
Yes.
few weeks now to swat it off,
Solid. Yes.
right? You have to
Mm-hmm.
study
Yes.
it
Pronunciation.
and say,
Pronunciation.
and so fine.
Enunciation.
You study it. Now you have
Yes.
to deliver it.
Yes.
And there was something about her. She was down pat for diction, enunciation.
Mm-hmm.
Depending, we don't know what that
Yes.
Enunciation.
is, But
Oh
anyway,
yes.
she
Pronunciation.
Yeah,
teaching
but they're
you.
telling us. Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
teaching it
Yes.
to you,
Yeah.
man. And
I'm telling you,
she
these kids
drilled
nowadays, they don't
us.
get that.
That's why I tell people, fine.
Yeah.
I'm from
Man.
Jamaica. We're from Jamaica. Some of us were taught early. So even though we were
Yes.
interacting with our peers and in our communities with the patois and so on,
Mm-hmm.
we were
Mm-hmm.
still able
Mm-hmm.
to switch because some of us
Yeah,
were
man.
taught.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
At a moment's notice, you
Yeah.
could
listen.
switch because I
Absolutely.
remember,
Yes.
yeah, Mr. James would also give us Bible knowledge, and he would like Isaiah 40, and he would line us up at the step. We had some steps leading up to the class, and you had to say it with expression.
Mhm.
Yes.
Like he would give it the first
Mm-hmm.
10 verses, comfort ye, my
Yes,
people, say it,
man.
or God. And you have to say it. And I also remember him used to, tell us to read a current event story in the newspaper.
Mhm.
And then so on the weekend, so every Monday morning, we had a passage that we would have had to, as Lady says, swat over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also had to bring a current event, something that happened in the news, preferably like a clip from the newspaper. You had to bring
Yes.
that
I
with
feel
you
that.
so
Yes.
Mhm.
we could discuss it in the class. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah,
but you
man.
had
I'm
to
telling
read.
Well,
you,
You had to read with
yes.
with
it was
There was a
expression.
it was
there was a
amazing.
point. You talk about the expression and enunciation and all of
And
that.
diction.
Their diction. There was a poem that we had to repeat called about the sweet sweet John Truitt.
Yes. I
The
Mm.
remember
John
that
I
Truitt,
poem.
the
remember.
bird,
I
Mhm.
remember.
bird.
Yes.
Listen to me. At
Sweet
the end, you
John
have to say
Truitt.
Yes.
the sweet John Truitt.
Yeah,
Yes.
man.
Yes.
They
Sweet,
Yes.
were good. They were
sweet
good. They were
John Truitt.
good.
And we did it at a festival in St. Anne. That's when you move from different schools compete against each other,
Yes.
and we had to do that, and we had to do the expression sweet, sweet John
Yeah.
Chewing.
Yes,
Listen,
ma'am.
You
silly.
remember the
You have to say it like it's really sweet.
Yeah, like really sweet.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
no, I'm
yes,
telling you, you had some teachers who were just good like that.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But
man.
And
And you know,
they
it was
made
just
you love to
natural, you know.
learn.
but
And
let
they
me
Yes.
tell
made
you,
you pull
Lady
you
D, the
in to
first
that's
learn,
it,
you
person,
know.
Lady D. They made you want it to
They
learn.
they
made you
made you,
want to
yes.
learn, man. I tell
My
you,
grandmother
when I
and
had
my
to
mother
switch. No, go
were
ahead,
the
John.
first. I'm saying my grandmother and my mother were the first because they brought that into the community.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of playwriting and poetry writing. My mother and my
Mm-hmm.
grandmother would write plays and so on. And we had to be the first ones to know the verses, and we had to be up front.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
And
Yeah,
then when
Lord.
they
man.
saw us up front, then
Mm-hmm.
other
Mm-hmm.
children now come along because
Yes.
nobody else. To this day, if somebody died in that district and my mother is here in America, they call her to write the
Mm-hmm.
eulogy
Eulogy.
or write yes,
That's
Yeah.
like
stuff
my
like that.
grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's
can
like
get it
mama.
Yeah.
in my family.
My grandma.
Everybody calls her
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
Yeah, mama would
But
write.
I want to share a little bit about my high school then, because in high school for me, because I've been to all private schools. I've
Mm-hmm.
only been to one public school, which was primary school, but all of my schooling has been private schools. So when I went to high
So
school, I
how
went
you
to
say
the
you
high
may have
school.
no money?
Sorry?
Eh,
How you say you may have money? A private school on
eh.
veranda.
Private school, me going, but believe it, the private school lesson, but that's okay. It was there, edit, not mine. But in high school, my favorite teacher, and even today, was Mabel Smith. She's from St. Mary. She lived in somewhere there in Aleppo or somewhere in St. Mary. But she was a very effective teacher. She made you want to learn, as Lady D said earlier on. She really made me want to learn. She taught me in high school. She taught me English language and English literature. I never got anything but A's and B's in her class because her teaching was so effective. You wanted to pay attention. She didn't make it stiff. She was a serious stiff teacher. She was a teacher who made a little joke here and there in between, but she held your attention. And I'm telling you, I remember getting sick when I was in high school. This was in hip hop, as it was literature and English that she taught me, and I got sick. I got dengue fever, and I couldn't go to school. And she came and
Whoa.
looked for me. To
Hmm.
me, I felt so important. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
she
most.
left her house, walked from her yard, far walk because I bush me living now. And she came and
Wow.
looked for me one Sunday morning. When she came, I was in my nightie, the nice nightie, because I'm sick. I never felt. And she came and looked
I'm
for me.
sorry, Max.
Yes, I tell you. And I
When
felt
you
so good. That was when I felt like a teacher's pet because, as I said, I was one of her favorites in school because I never got anything on the edge. When she gave us exams, I handed out the paper. She would fold it like this so that the grades wouldn't show, and she'd
Right.
fold it and hand it to you in the class, hand it around in the class, or give the paper after she graded them. And I was always proud to open up mine because I know that I passed because I
You
studied. I love
pass.
English,
You
love literature,
pass.
love to read. So I never had to worry about showing or exposing my grade. The students in my
Mhm.
class, some of them were just jealous but tough luck because they knew
Yeah.
that Max not getting anything below an A or a B, nothing
Hmm.
below that. You know,
There
so
you
so
go.
she
Mhm.
was really and truly my favorite teacher of all my teachers. That was
Well,
that
I
for
can
us.
tell you so. You see, sometimes life happens and there's nothing you can do about it because
Yes.
circumstances change. But
Mm-hmm.
when I
Right.
had to leave Chapelton Primary to go back to Penance, to John Austin All Age, I think I had a shift. There was a shift.
In your
And
head.
when I sat in the class, I can't remember her name for one thing. I think I zoomed out the lady entirely because her teaching style was different. I
Mm.
felt I was not learning. I went
Mhm.
home. I said, Mama, can you let me go back out to Chapelton School? But due to circumstances, she couldn't send me back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I am telling you, I learned nothing
Oh
in that
gosh.
class. Nothing.
You
Then
Mhm.
see?
Mhm.
then Mr.
Mhm.
South came. Mr. South came with his family, and he was in England for years. So he returned, he became the principal. He went on an extensive facelift of the school.
Wow.
I mean,
Nice.
the school paint, burglar bar put up in areas that were exposed. You know, the grill.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Not the one
And
you cook on.
not the one you cook on. And he transformed the school to the point where we even had concerts, ongoing
Wow.
concerts, where people would, as a fundraiser for the school.
Right.
And
Contribute.
Grace Robinson and Denise Gomez were like the top dancers. We had the
Oh, yeah,
disco,
okay.
We used to
funky,
pay 5 cents,
anything.
5 cents for going to Friday
I
evening
know,
concert
right?
at
Yeah.
I just
school.
going
Five
to
We had
cents.
concert.
concerts, and not only that, but he taught the common entrance class.
Mm.
And one evening we got homework. Fine. Me no know what happened. Me go home and start the homework, but it not finished because I've always been a TV fan.
You're lucky you did have TV. Me never have
Yeah,
none.
tell them, Nami.
And
Nami.
Dulcie,
TV.
we used to
Never
listen
she did
to
rich.
Dulcie on the radio.
Dulcimina, yes. You
Yes.
put your battery in a sun for make it lasts a longer. You put
Yes.
it so you can hear your serial when night comes, 7:30.
Dulcie,
Well,
About
hi,
TV.
7:15,
no beat me.
7:15 that evening.
Don't beat me. I too used to listen to Dulcimina.
I hope
I
we
thought
do
like
it.
Really?
everybody else. But me, I tell you, I was distracted with the TV. So, I know me still watch it, but me not distracted. Me more focused, but me watch me TV. But me I tell you, in between watching the TV and doing the homework, night runway, a time for me go on my bed. So I was hoping now that when I returned for the class the following evening, he would have some measure of understanding. You know what me use the word
Oh,
measure.
oh,
The
oh.
operative word there is measure.
Mhm.
So me in a class, nice a go on, and that was the first time I remember he asked us what the acronym meant for SOS, and me did already read up some something. Me jump up and say,
Sure,
"Save our souls," and I was
sure.
he said, "Oh, good, Denise," and he know my grandmother and that she's prominent in the community and so forth.
Teachers,
Then came time to hand in
the homework.
the homework. Everybody go up, them handy, them book,
Lots.
him look, him mark, mark, mark. So me stay behind a lag, right?
Then I'm
Finally me
gonna
go,
take
because
care.
usually me gone up long time. When
Mm-hmm.
we finally go up, him look in the book, he looks up at me. He says, and what happened here? Me can't forget.
You start to measure the
Mrs.
cane,
South
I'm
says,
sure.
Denise, oh, so what happened here? And I simply said to him, I did not finish. I wasn't able to finish. He looked at me, he said, Miss Ruby Thomas's granddaughter
Ooh.
didn't finish the homework.
Oh
Lots.
my gosh. You know,
And
so
he
when you
turned
call out
up.
the whole
It's the
government.
second time Mr. South beat me, That evening, like how the cane, Jackie, the cane was right there.
Yes,
And
that
I
was
stood
coming
up
there.
there because I said, he's not going to lick me with no cane.
Mm.
And he
A
raised
bad
his
girl,
hand, he raised his hand and I backed away. And he said, where are
Sure.
you going? I said, home. Can I tell you?
What?
I
Oh,
grabbed my bag and dash off. I said nothing to nobody. I just go in, do what me do for me evening chore, ride bicycle, do homework, God bless
Ride
me.
What?
bicycle. Yeah, bad girl, man, tell you.
Can I tell you the next morning when
mm.
I reach school? To this day, me have up Dave, my neighbor down the street, not
Mind
far
you.
from the house. So Dave was also in the class. So he's like also teacher's pet. Cause Dave smart.
Yes. And I hide you on.
Wait, no. Just come and say, whisper, Denise, Mr. South call you. So me think fine, him I go just
Whoa.
quarrel with me now, forgetting about the cane episode the evening before.
Mhm.
When we go in the man locked door,
Whoa.
and then guess what he had in place of the cane?
I'm
The leather
belt.
Fan
belt.
belt. Fan belt.
They bust me something.
Whoa.
The what?
Denise, bust me. You don't know bust me, Jackie.
What is
No.
boss me?
Bust me
What?
is that thick strap like
The,
Fan
thi-
belt,
the
we
thick
call
leather
it.
belt.
the thick one, but we call it bust me.
We call it fan belt. You know it.
We
And
call
that
it
if you know
stubble
wheel
jack.
up.
There you go.
Everybody have a
Yes.
different name.
Yes,
Fan
Mama
belt.
said you
Yes.
come from a different parish. So
Right.
Yeah.
And
That
then
was
he
Subtle
said,
Jack for we.
"Oh, yesterday
yes.
I left the class. The time let me just learn about prematurely."
Oh yeah.
He used that word, and I stand up there looking at him. The time that Dave knows that the man have a plan for me,
I send you around the
and
wicked.
send me in there. And he says, "I believe in discipline." And him go on and
Mm-mm,
say, "Hold out your hand." So the door locked this time, right?
You can't run.
mm-mm,
So I held out my left and he gave me one lick and it
mm,
stung. And,
mm.
I light skinned, so I could see the welt come up same time. And I put down my hand. He said, "Hold out the other
The
one."
right.
The time then the tears
Jesus.
now come, because me decide me not cry before you.
Yeah, man.
Cause you
And the
vex. You
homework no
vex.
do all know that the homework was
Mm-hmm.
forgotten. Me hold
Mm-hmm.
out my right hand, him slap me. Then him won't
Mm,
ask me again. I'm like, "No." Mister
mm-mm,
No, I said, "No
mm,
more, sir." And I
mm-mm,
backed up to the door and he realized, say, all right, him can bring no attention to a picnic in him office who is about
mm-hmm,
no more. So I
mm-hmm.
decided I'm not making him hit me no more.
It is
So
so
he had
bad.
to let me out. And then he says to me, "See you in the class later." See you in the
Oh
class.
God. Oh Lord.
Lady D, I respect you. You were brave to do
Me
that.
applaud you.
Make
Me
Yes.
them,
applaud you,
Because
sister,
I never
because
liked that. I never liked went to
we,
see them beat the kids, and I
me,
think like I
man,
said, I think I got beaten twice or three times with a cane, and my grandmother absolutely didn't like that. Even though they spank us at home if we do anything, but we're pretty good kids, I just did not like it. See this big cane come out and
no, but
walking.
you know what I got beaten for at school. I never got beaten for academics, lessons, no miss nothing. I
Mhm.
got beaten for being late. And I
mm,
wasn't being late because hey, I'm late.
Right.
I was being late because
You
a
live so
bush me have to
far.
go through. Me have to go through a
Yeah.
bush.
bush,
Never
yeah.
walk
And I'm
far, yeah.
afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah, me have to wait
Yeah.
for company and then the other kids, if their parents, send them out late. I remember we are walking and the same principal, Mrs. Leard. Mrs. Leard would drive past us and she would just
Mm-hmm.
put out her head and say, "Run along, run along."
Yeah,
And
go
And
ahead.
go
when you
up,
get
out
to
on a ride.
school, yeah, she
Mm,
line up everybody and beat you with cane. One in the left, one in the right. And I remember the girls got beaten in their hand, in their palms, and the
mhm.
boys got the whipping over their backs.
Ooh.
Mhm.
Yes, because they gave the boys more than the girls. So them give the
Girls,
girls in
yes.
the palm.
Yeah.
I
I
used
saw
to
that.
get four. Remember one time, me couldn't take more than one. And when she give me left in the left hand, the when you talk a while ago, I feel
Mhm,
something touch me. Because
mhm.
when I got the left hand, I say whop. And I got the right hand, I say whop. And left again, whop. As I sit here, my hand dropped down on my side, my left hand, and it couldn't come back up for the rest of the day.
Mm-mm.
I
It hit
could
a
not
nerve, man.
raise. Yeah,
Mhm.
and
Hit
when
a
I
nerve.
went home and I told my grandmother was so upset. My grandmother walked to the school I
Mhm.
make them know, say, look here. She coming from far and I can't send her out early before such a time. And that's why my grandmother end up start walking me like 2 miles to the main road where
Mhm.
me could have go with the working people. And then when they gone down the opposite way into Montego Bay, in vans and taxis, then
Mm-hmm.
I would walk on the main road the opposite direction. And that is how I stopped getting beaten for being late.
Late, yeah.
You know?
Oh my
Yeah, man, that
God.
thing that thing was trauma. Yeah, me
Yeah.
say my hand dropped, my hand couldn't come
Yes,
back up.
man.
I couldn't take more than one. My left, the right hand not so bad, but the left hand, no, me couldn't do it.
Yeah, because when he hit me, the first time it stung, and then it layered all the way up to the midsection
Yeah,
here.
the
Yeah,
tip
My
come
yeah.
wrist.
over
Yeah.
by
So
your
Yes.
when I
wrist.
think
That's
that
what actually
Yeah.
happened,
happened to the girl
I'm
that
like,
day.
and then him said the right. So then him a ask for the left again. Mm-mm, no,
Yeah.
Not
no.
Mm-mm.
my
A four you
Was
not
it?
gonna get.
So it says not my
I was
left.
gonna get four. No.
But let me tell you how I got even more cross when I went to high school. That's when we started learning Caribbean history, and we
Mhm.
started learning about the slaves and how they used to beat them over them back. And
Mhm.
that thing, it's like I just had a flashback to
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
they used to
Mm-hmm.
beat. It's like me say, if me did ever know.
PTSD, man. PTSD, you'd get Jackie.
Yeah.
If we
So
Yeah.
didn't ever know a slave get beaten and them,
I know.
because I
Yeah.
remember one of the students when I think it was Leon, his name was Leon Mullins, was a brilliant kid too, and he comes school late and Mr. Levers slap him with a cane on the back. You know when something hit you, boy scratching back
Yes.
so it's like you have to scratch
Yes.
it. You know,
Yeah.
and it's like remember those
It
things. I mean,
hurts.
it's like it just traumatized me. But a little
Mm-hmm.
joke. That man, them used to call him Platypus. The
Oh, that
principal,
was
Mr.
platypus.
Levers.
Mm-hmm.
No, me never know as a child what a platypus. I think this was when we get one of the beaten one time. Me never know what a platypus was. Okay, until me get bigger and start to go a big school, bigger school. The people then tell me something. So go tell platypus, say somebody come to him. Me gone to the man, officer platypus.
Oh,
Yeah, man's money.
Platypus, Mr. Mullins. Mr. Mullins out there, so to you, Mr. Platypus. Listen to me get a platypus lick. Yes, man, with it.
oh my God.
Oh God.
So Jackie, in
I can see
your
you
head,
you were very
oh,
naive.
No,
Then.
I was
naive.
a little kid. So them use a little picnic and the boy them laughing
I
at me
use
every
them.
time
You
me a
yeah. I
little
use them.
picnic.
Use you.
I never forget that because I was a little kid and them use
You
a
think
little
Oh
you
one
did
God.
them
a
to get
platypus
so
beating?
them
No, Jackie.
yes. Mr. Miguel, platypus beating the man in the man. Gone called platypus.
So
All
funny.
right, so let's jump on over again. Ricky had made a comment here. He said, my favorite, because I realized there was a follow-up note to it. My favorite primary school teacher was Mrs. Allen. She taught me in 75, 76, and then my daughter in 2016. He
Wow.
goes on to say
Wow.
she was very, very tough on me. I later came to appreciate her, and she says she would tell all the boys in her class about a boy named Ricky Davis, whom she used to teach. Go on, Rick.
Nice.
All
Nice,
right. So
Ricky.
let's see who else is saying what else here
My
now.
work paid off.
Um, Lady D, it was Miss Daisy Thompson. Okay.
Maybe that's the name that you were trying to remember.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I
Yeah, I
think so.
think
Yeah.
so.
Okay. So I can never tell who this is, just drop your name when you're sending because your name doesn't display in
Yeah, your
your
name just say oh.
oh.
So we the all
In
what do
my
you call
in
it?
my
The patuk.
formative years, my greatest asset was having Miss Emily Watts as my teacher then. Here comes Miss Josephine Mills, Daisy Thompson, Larry Lampard, just to name a few great educators from Chapelton. Okay.
Oh,
Thank
this
you.
is a Chapelton person.
Yes.
Yes.
Princess says, I remembered when we go on school trip, we have to keep in mind that we will have to write an essay about the trip. They would
Yes.
make sure some of the stops was educational.
Yes. We have that to do that.
Yes.
I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, Mr. South was a breath of fresh air, but he would also whip you. That's my thing.
All about the whipping. Oh Lord.
Okay. What princess here teasing me? You forget she was upper class. I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Are you them attack, Lady D?
Not pay
Yes,
them
I
no
know
mind.
we. Yeah, that name I told me back off figure school.
Hey, Brenda, my teacher's name was Mrs. Atkinson, who always beat me when it came to maths.
Only that.
And I still didn't pass it. Oh, Lord. You not put on.
Ooh, you get me much of punishment to stay back late.
Let me tell you something. We had in high school we had a math teacher, and her name was Mrs. McClellan. She just passed a few years ago, and she had a wooden foot. One of her foot was a prosthetic leg, like from her knee down. So she had it with matching shoes and stockings, but it was a prosthetic leg. So when we used to call her Mackie Shuff behind her back, of course.
God.
When she was walking, you would hear the creaking, where the joint met. And she was a very serious math teacher, very, very serious. But she was very good because the kids who were not so good in math, she would have, she created what she called a math clinic. and you would go to math clinic after school to improve on your maths.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go to math clinic because numbers and figures was not my
Not your
strong
thing.
point.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
And I had to go to math clinic. But she was very, very effective, Mrs. McClellan. She just passed a few years ago.
Okay, thank you for
But I
that.
remember Maki show. And although she taught, one second, lady, because she
Mm-hmm.
taught, although she taught math, we used to have double periods of math. So double period would be like an hour and a half. And what she would do is at the at the halfway point, I guess she would look at our faces and we probably would be bored, overwhelmed, sleepy, tired, whatever. She
Mm-hmm.
used to make we get up and we had to sing a song that I don't know where she get it from, but it was the Grand Old Duke of York.
York.
He had 10,000 men.
1,000 men.
He
Yes.
marched them
March
up to
them
the top
up
of
to
the
the top
hill
of
and
the hill
marched
and
them
march
down
them down
Down
again.
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 Mm-hmm.
And
And
when
when they're
they're
We
up,
up,
know,
they're
they're
we
up.
up.
know it.
And when
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 they're
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 down,
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 they're
they're
down.
down. We
When
know
they're
it.
only halfway up,
way
they're
up,
neither
they're
up
neither
nor
up,
down.
nor down. I remember that.
We know that
Yeah,
one.
so by the time you start to start laugh, you get little life, and she say, okay, back to math.
Oh,
Of course.
Yeah.
Lord.
What Miss
All right.
Johnson would do is she was the first person who would really taught me that when you move and when blood goes to your brain, how you can think. She
Mm-hmm.
would let us outside for like about 10 minutes, and she said we should run up and down the driveway of the
Right.
school. And then she would stop us and say, we should do jumping jacks, jumping jacks. And we did jumping jacks. When we came back, she said, okay, come back in now. You see, when we came back in class, that whatever she was trying to teach us, she would throw questions at us. And say, it's
You
like,
don't
we
get
just
it.
answer them so. She said, you
Mm-hmm.
see,
Yes.
when you move and you get blood going
Mm-hmm.
to your brain, oxygen. Me
Mm-hmm.
never know, no, me never understand what that
Yeah.
was,
Yes,
but
that.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
stuck with
yeah.
me. And
Which
I'm
is
Yeah,
learning
why
that
yeah.
in nursing school today.
They
even
knew what they
now,
were
when
doing.
for most of us, we have to sit at our desks before a computer, it's in recent times I've been getting up, move away from it for, a little bit,
Yes, I
get
do
your
it too.
Mm-hmm.
legs for circulation, to
Yeah.
maintain
If
proper
you're having
circulation in.
meetings, yeah.
Mm-hmm,
I
Yes,
used
therefore
to
I do
move.
walk
it, sir.
around with my headset on and,
Mm-hmm,
walk around the desk, walk around the room
mm-hmm. And
to get the
even
blood
now,
flowing.
there are quite a few companies where they don't have as many desks as they used to. They prepare. They have standing, you know,
Yeah, the
standing
standing
desk.
desk.
Yes, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
people can walk around and stuff. Because
Mm-hmm.
you sit down there,
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, blood clot, all kind of something.
All kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You hear the one
Mm-hmm.
Very
princess
close.
is Mr. yours, Mr. South. She
Long
teased
road
me about,
shortcuts.
long road shortcut.
Oh, she was also asking me, did I say 1976? Yes. Yes, Hortense. I went to high school in 1976.
Yes, brothers.
Out.
So there goes the age.
Yes, I
Yes, all
know.
right. And
So I did
fabulous
say
with it.
out.
So Dre says,
Sure.
I guess
Sure.
it's me they're talking about again. If I did that, my father would add to that beating. All right.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
same here. Look into that. Whenever around stay there and you take that beating probably milder than the one you got.
Jackie, bust me was a rubber strap. It was from a car tire.
Lord
Whoa,
Jesus.
Jesus.
Run
Mm-mm.
belt. Oh
Mm.
Lord.
No, sir. Fan belt.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
No,
at
the
the
fan
inner
I
belt.
want
tube,
to
one
Fan
share that
belt
with
is
tire
you because
thing,
it's
different.
the
my
inner tube.
favorite.
That can't
Huh?
break,
Mm-mm. Them
That
something to do
can't break at
wickedness.
all.
Charles, it says, our
Fan belt is a
schoolyard
rubber
had
thing.
many
I know it's rubber.
entrances, so our teacher would stand up
Ah,
in the middle. So he knows how late
So
to
you
be
better
So
prepare.
prepare.
here. Okay.
yeah.
Mm.
Um,
I want
and
it.
this person again says,
Cool.
thank you, ladies, for stimulating my old mind. I enjoy this program so much. You're so welcome.
You're welcome.
Um,
You're welcome. Oh,
Yes, we are
um,
all in the same boat.
Vera says, thank God no teacher never hit me, but was punished to talk in the class. Okay.
Well, you better thank God, because them beat there was wicked.
Who remember the class outside? Yes, there sometimes you would have your
Oh
class.
Lord.
I remember this
Let me
young
tell
woman.
you, what
remember
was
that.
torture, Lady D? We used to have classes outside. This was back, same Mr. James, because I ended up repeating
Yes.
grade 6 twice, not
Mhm.
because I was not learning, but I was too young. I
Oh,
skipped
okay.
classes. I went to grade 1, but not grade 2, grade 3, but not grade 4, grade 5, grade 6. So
Here.
I was too young to go to grade 7. And the school ended, I think, grade 8 or 9. And then because at the final minute, Mr. James caught me with enough time to do common entrance, I had to repeat grade 6. So I ended up having him for 1 year, which was very refreshing. And he would take us outside for class. We had a huge mango tree in the middle of the schoolyard,
Tree.
and that mango tree would be full of mangoes, if a mango time.
Mm-hmm.
But no matter how he's teaching, a mango a drop. No one go pick up one, because no say you are get beaten.
Beaten for
One
that.
guy
You
in
know,
the
some of them
class.
get only for beating though, Sharon.
Let me
Come
tell you
love
something,
mango.
no man. We would, and then the mango tree grew in such an intricate way. The roots, some of the roots rose above the ground and had some indentation. Over the years, we made seats like in between.
Yes,
So
yes.
we would
Yes.
be like underneath the tree, properly underneath the tree. So when the breeze blow and you hear the mango drop, all you can't, and I look on it too hard neither. Remember one day, one guy, him was newish, and him never had the experience. Nobody never warned him, and one mango drop, and in the middle of lessons, my guy just get up and
Mm-hmm. A
dash with the
bolt for
mango,
mango.
pick it up, and come put it in him lap and sit down. Master, him get some beating right on the spot. Right on the spot.
Oh,
You have
Wicked
to
is
wait till
that.
when class over. You go and him say, okay, you can go pick up your mango. If you ever run, you see.
Mm-hmm.
You
Princess
Oh
says
my
that
God.
your butt for your
sorry.
sharing it.
So you are young. Oh, me a young bud. I saw you go. All right.
I remember
Oh
this
my God.
young teacher. I think she had just like come out of teachers college, Miss Gunning, light skinned, and she would have us sitting outside, that kind of half moon thing, set the chairs. Cause by then them are go do them thing. She
Right.
would take us outside and we sit down, man, and that's where she taught the
The
girls
girl.
about how to sit if you don't want your pleats to get all messed up.
Mm-hmm.
As we had on with bloomers, you could just sit on the bench and have the skirt, laid over the bench. And she showed the boys how to sit and, taught the boys. I remember in that class, she discussed about personal hygiene and told the
Mm-hmm.
boys that, when you guys play and sweat up, because, girls, we're going to play, but we don't want sweat on all them something as little
Mm-hmm.
as you be, unless you're not care.
As me never,
Mm-hmm.
never
Right?
play.
But she taught the boys about deodorant. Them days you did have one now. Dryad, speed,
Something stick.
something
My
stick,
Something
favorite.
stick.
Yeah, I used to love something too.
Something
Yeah.
stick.
something
My
stick.
favorite.
And the fall. So she walked us through, and that's in that same class, And she didn't ask. She had it with boys and girls present when she walked us through about our menstrual cycle and how
Wow.
when you're at primary school, don't sit too long. You need to get up sometimes and go to check if your napkins need to check. That was my first
In front of the boys?
in front of the boys. But what she explained to the boys is that if at any time you see a girl and she has a little spot in the back of her dress, do not laugh. If you don't want to approach her, go to a teacher, tell them. So the girl,
Wow.
that was, I've never forgotten that.
Wow.
And she said,
Wow.
boys need to be sensitive because girls go through this every month. And
Right.
sometimes they
Wow.
don't know, which is why she was teaching us that every now and again you ask for the excuse, you go and check to see, if you need
Mm.
napkins. And she told the boys, don't, as long as I'm in the school, I'm here talk about John Austin up in a penance. As long as I'm in the school, never let me hear you boys talking about girls in a
Mm.
bad way. That was a good thing.
Wow.
And it
Very
and
nice.
it was
Yeah.
and it worked.
Yes.
It
Mm-hmm.
worked.
Wow.
No nonsense
Yeah.
principal person to
She
teach.
was
That's
also
very
one of
good.
my favorite teachers, very soft, but very effective.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
That's
But
excellent.
since we've
Mhm.
been talking here, one thing I picked up is that those teachers were rounded. They
Yes.
did
Yes.
not just teach a subject.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
taught us life
Mm-hmm.
lessons. They taught us things
Yes.
like
Mm-hmm.
grooming. They taught us maths. The same teacher can teach you
Cookery.
maths,
Cookery.
English, cookery, geography,
Everything.
and guidance.
Yes,
Right? And
yes, yes.
you know, I picked up on that, especially when Lady D said she moved from this school and she went to the other school and she begged her grandmother to take her back
Yes.
to the
Mm-hmm.
original school. So it
Mm-hmm.
also
Mm-hmm.
brings us back to the show that we did when I told you that I think it was in Finland that it's the
Last
same
week.
teacher who
Yes.
start out with the students who end up with them in college. And the teacher is the one who they grill mostly to see if they're still qualified for the
To
position.
carry
The
on, yes.
students will do their exams and stuff, but the majority of the work is done in the class, not homework. They don't get homework. The teacher has to prove that she's qualified to
Yeah.
go along with their students up until college.
Can you imagine?
And
Wow.
she has to be rounded.
Yes.
And it's
And
effective
you see,
because they're
that
the
is
number
why,
one.
yeah, that is why, teachers need to get more money. They need to get more
Yeah,
more money. I am advocate,
yeah,
and my daughter is a teacher. My daughter teaches math. Funny, as much as I hated maths, but she's our father
Mm.
altogether. She teaches math and stuff. And when I see the great care and patience that it takes,
Mm-hmm.
the things that a teacher is many things to a student, not just educator. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, they have to be a comforter to the kids. They have
Yes.
to, like
yeah,
Jackie just said, teach the kids life lessons and other things.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And when they're there to give teachers raises and contracts and all that, it's like
yeah.
pulling teeth sometimes. And I'm like,
Yes.
why? They deserve
Yeah.
it and more. And every
Yeah, you know how many
holiday they
teachers
get,
have to
they
scrape
deserve
out
it.
of their pocket? You know how many teachers have to
Yes,
scrape
to
out of their
buy, yeah,
pockets to
exactly.
to buy stuff for some of these children coming out of
Yeah,
poverty, but
Yeah.
they just want to see them and they're passionate about it. I
Mm-hmm.
know that
right.
because I see my
They
mother do
see
it.
the
My mother is in the
potential.
United
Yeah.
States working, and my mother will leave her job, leave her work just to go back to her community. Go
Mm-hmm.
start basic
Mm-hmm.
school for
And
children.
another thing
And the
too.
summer school, me never see anybody do summer school for any picnic free for 2 months. My mother does it, and
And
it's not that she don't have no money like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's the
to add to
passion
that,
and
ladies,
how, yeah,
to add to that is the fact that as a teacher, you're faced with so many different characters in a kid.
Yes.
Because remember,
yeah,
you're teaching kids from east, west, north, and south, different mentality, different
mm-hmm,
background,
yeah,
different
Mm-hmm.
upbringing from
yeah,
home. So you have to deal with all these different characters in a student. So yeah, it's at each point you have to change. At each point, at each point you have to change your whole mentality to deal with this
Yes.
kid in this way, this kid
Mm-hmm.
in this way. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really a lot
Yeah.
of pressure on the teacher. So
Lot.
as Shannon mentioned, you
Yeah.
should really be paid. I'm telling
Yeah,
you, it's
Yeah.
not
man.
an easy thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No.
But boy, we've really been covering, and we're wrapping up in a few minutes
Yeah.
because when we start talking and sharing. But let me just
yeah.
hop on over quickly so I can see if there were any new comments. Speed stick.
That's a foreign.
Oh,
Yes,
so
for
when you were
anyone speed
talking about
stick.
the mango, Princess said, "No man, that was much. I would eat mango and take beat
I take beaten.
later."
Literally,
Ay.
we get beaten for run out of school if we go look rose apple.
But she said,
Go
"Thanks,
pick
Lady D,
rose
for
apple.
getting this vision for this segment. And this vision is a combined effort, my love. It's such a stress reliever. And ladies, is like I know you in person, just interacting from afar. Thank you. That means we're related. That's good.
Yeah.
What Charles is saying now, sorry about that. I remember how teachers had to go through many stages in order to be on full staff.
Post. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, again, for my high school, Lord, me got through high school, me no know. All know. Me I wonder if I was just, gliding,
Floating.
floating. me float through. Seriously,
Floating like a
that
butterfly.
whole high school thing there, I don't know. So,
I loved high school. High school was
so
wonderful for me.
it was because I was in track and field, right? So that part of it I loved. I didn't mind the learning, but somehow I was delayed in grasping the concept
Yeah,
of
it
some of.
was
Me I
probably
tell
too
you,
much. Yeah, that was for me too. But
If I feel
I
if
found
I
a
had
love for
stayed,
biology. That was the only thing.
yeah, I feel if I had stayed at Chapelton Primary, it would have been a whole different
Different.
perspective.
Mm-hmm.
My perspective would
Mm-hmm.
have been different because that's where I was getting the real foundation of learning and my
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
ability to learn and excel. But when we get to
Yeah.
when we
You
go,
were interrupted, man. You were interrupted. That's why.
Yes.
I
I
got
had
to
this experience when I went to high school too.
and I
Because
think Mr. South kind of got me late, in the whole class.
Hmm.
It was a mess. By the time I reached high school, the first day alone was a mess. Me share that already. Or me just walk through the gate and go about my business.
And
'Cause,
got with the shoes.
boy,
Oh
you is
my
a
goodness.
walker. You're a
I
bona
am a
fide
walker.
walker.
I'm a walker.
she have a
I
PhD in
love that. I
walking.
love
High
that. I love
school.
the way that you weren't fearless. I just love that.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
but I did well at track. I did very well. I had an accident over the hurdle, which is why, I wasn't able to pursue it further.
Continue.
Mhm. But other than that, but I was gifted in a lot of things. The Lord has gifted me with some gifts, so I have
Mhm.
been able to just knock them in. So even
Yeah, man.
when I did public relations with the UE School of Continuing Studies, as you mentioned about how we were taught pretty much choral speaking,
Mhm.
we had to do a set piece. He's another favorite teacher, Michael Record.
Mm.
He We were given different pieces to study, and then we had to create set pieces. So you're setting your designs and all of that, your
Mhm.
costumes and stuff. I felt like I was in Rome. 'Cause we did a Roman set. We we dressed and thing, and man, when we expressed ourselves, Mr. Record had to give us an A for it. We
Okay.
Wow.
Why?
missed nothing. Our group was just smashing like that. And then
Mm.
he would have us do presentations. And that was the second time in my life somebody made a comment about my voice and my ability to articulate in writing and
Yes.
to communicate to people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he graded me well for that too. So subsequent years you catch up and you start to learn. But Lord,
Yeah.
man, in a high school, I can't tell nobody. It was a mess.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah,
It was hard for high school for me too because
we
it
are
was
going
like
back to
a
high
culture
school again.
shock. No, no,
right.
that you're in high school and you have to go learn Spanish because we used to listen to the
Oh,
Spanish
I was
coming
ready.
across the
What? What?
airways, and we used to laugh at just
No,
how it
sir.
sound. But
No,
we didn't know
sir.
that there was a time that we had to go
Mm-mm.
learn it. So it was
You
Have
know,
I
to
very.
was
learn
It
it.
was
ready, girl.
afterwards. You say, "Gosh, I wish I'd paid more attention or just stuck
you
to
mean
it because I."
you mean septiembre.
Seti-
Septiembre. Septiembre.
Septiembre.
I mean,
I
That
was
was
I
so.
was too ready.
puso, sit like so. And and Miss Lucky said, that word we're not going to learn in class. You'll take that home and
Pu-
you'll study it at home. The
ah,
verb or the noun puso.
Que hora
So
es?
yeah.
we were
From the verb poder, which is to think.
Hmm.
Puso puse,
yes,
pusiste, pusiermos,
yes,
Oh,
pusieres.
my
pussy. Listen, that's what everybody was pussy year on and him something. Every said us.
Yes.
God.
Let me tell you. But you know what happened. I was a very voracious reader. I because I didn't have Maxine
You know, the TV.
because I had no TV. So what happened is that, and then the library was by the school, which was what 6 7 miles away.
Oh Lord.
So and then I would borrow a book today and tomorrow may I bring it back. So after a while, at a young age, because
Yeah,
when I left that school, I
that's good.
was 11.
Mhm.
Because
Hmm.
high school me at 12. Yeah. So
Hmm.
the librarian, I guess she tried to see me a come in. And she would say, did you read it? And I would say yes. And the thing is that I have a photographic memory. So I would be able to tell her, this is the story, this.
That's
And
me.
after a while, she started letting me borrow 3 books. So every Friday evening, I would get 3 books.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just read. So I kind of knew what to expect in high school.
Sorry, shirts.
I would not laugh after. I know not laugh after. Come
Go
here
on,
back on
Ryan.
TV.
Ryan, I read
It's the
stuff.
comments, the comments.
Everybody have a comment.
Appear
Come on.
laughing Ryan Depan. Yeah, man.
I think
But
Whitney shows
I
already,
was,
so.
yeah. I'm a girly girl. I'm a girly girl. And my high school was an all-girls school. So I was just too happy
Mine
to
too.
be there. I was ready to go. I mean, even now I teach my little grandchildren them Spanish and stuff. The little beginnings. And I
Right.
teach them the songs. That
Mm-hmm.
stuff is still in my head. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I
Es
didn't
la
do not much with Spanish.
cabeza,
I use it
es
at
la
work a little bit, but
cabeza, es la
Yeah.
cabeza, cha la la la. Es la cabeza. You remember that? I'm trying
I
to. Es la
remember the
cabeza.
song.
I ain't get no cabeza. No,
Es
I got tengo,
es la
tengo, tengo,
cabeza.
tengo. I got different ones. Me
I
never
got
get
that
the
same thing.
cabeza.
I don't know what language this was,
You
but
Oh, the hair.
my
Oh,
very first stage appearance was when I was about maybe 8 or 9. And Mama had to go up to then Frankfield Comprehensive, now Edwin Allen.
Mhm.
Had asked her to speak at some function. My grandmother man get some poem. She drill me with it. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, um,
mhm.
we're so glad to have you here. And me go on and go on. Then she did drop in one piece. What she said? Pequito memento,
Lord
Jevigande
have mercy.
That's Spanish.
Lord.
That's Spanish.
That's Spanish.
Yes.
But to this day, I'm not too sure what I mean. It's just that,
Pequito momento. That's a small
so
moment, or you could
Moment.
Yes,
say
a small
momentito.
poquito. It's
Yeah.
poquito memento.
no, and I was, well, you're not taught to roll the R's accordingly yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
You read it
That
as you
makes a
see.
It is a
difference.
silly word.
But that
Yeah,
was
we're
my
not.
first
You are
encounter
you you
with
are felt
language.
like English.
Uh-huh. Here you go.
Uh-huh.
Well, we're gonna wrap up now. Poor Ryan.
Right. Come here, Lord.
No,
Ah,
sir.
Jesus, oh Lord, this
Eh,
morning is good. I tell you. I think we hit the
eh.
jackpot with this one this morning.
aye.
Mm,
But we thank all our teachers, and
yes.
school goes back in full swing, especially in the Caribbean. Here in the US,
Mhm.
many
Mm,
schools had already gone back in August.
Mhm.
But we are hoping that children will see the value of their teachers.
absolutely.
Teachers will
Yeah.
do their
Yeah.
best. I know that, in recent times, the discipline is also a challenge for them. And like anybody else, your emotions can get a little overwhelming, and you feel like you can't bother with them picking you, and then if you go on back of their yard, and I uno more no raise no right. We get
You've been
it.
raised by wolves.
And they are stressed. Teachers and children are having verbal encounters and physical
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Mhm.
encounters, and the
Physical.
schools are rough, and they're not getting enough money, and they move into other areas of profession, and a whole lot
Mhm.
going on, and it's global. We won't confuse
Yes, it is
ourselves here.
global. Mhm.
Mhm.
It's
Oh,
being
yes,
done
it's
just
global.
about
It
everywhere in the
is.
world. And we need teachers. Without educators, what will happen to societies of the world? Right?
Yeah, but you
Mm-hmm.
know what happened, Lady D? I remember when my daughter was trying to get into teaching. She's been teaching now for a while, actually. It's from '08, I think. But anyway, when she was trying to get into teaching, there were a lot of old teachers. I mean,
Mhm.
seasoned
Mature women.
older teachers. Yeah, but they weren't willing to exit the classroom in order for the younger teachers to come in.
Mm.
So they had to, like, sit on the sidelines. And these
Mhm.
were people who were very seasoned. So it's like the opposite is happening now.
No.
People
Yes.
who have gone into the profession are now leaving for
Mhm.
other
Yes, other
jobs and so
professions,
on.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, while the older ones, they had loved it so much they didn't want to come out. They literally had to beg them to
Dig
retire in
them.
order for the newer,
Yeah.
ones to come in.
Dig them
Um,
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't
Hmm.
well,
want to because they don't know nothing else.
make we
True.
continue.
True.
Let us continue to do our part,
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so Andrea says they haven't, she's in Barbados, they haven't started yet. Sister Charles says, hi, Miss Barbados. Okay, very nice. Greeting each other. Yes. So we've all had our experiences, and here we are today, trying to emulate and do what we do. Well, Ryan him say now 7 days a week, them did love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
All
teachers.
the teachers. Yeah.
Yeah. So right now, ladies, we're wrapping up. You know how we do. We'll do our promo
Yes.
very quickly so that we can say ta-ta to our guests. So starting off right now with Madam Max.
Sorry, I'm trying to unmute. Sorry. Okay, so y'all know I'm a poet and a reggae artist. You can find me on all social media platforms. And of course, I do performances. You can book me up if you so desire for poetry or music. And I want to say special thanks to Lady D for this platform. It has changed me a whole lot. It has had to me, and I enjoyed very much every Saturday morning coming, even if you just show off my teeth.
And teeth we have, and that's a good thing. So that's all right.
Okay, people, cake and pudding still a bake at the pudding pan. So call me now. 917-533-2380. Find me on Instagram at the Pudding Pan Inc. There we go.
Okay, for all your African American inspired gift items, school has reopened, so there are lots of things for students, college students, your younger students, for yourself, tumblers, mugs, a lot of stuff. I can send you a virtual catalog. Call me 646-342-6838, and I can give you the hookup. It's very, very good prices, great value, and good quality.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much, ma'am. And that tells us, when they're so overwhelmed with a lot of stuff, that's the phrase they use. And for yours truly, of course, if you don't know, I'm the presenter and producer of the radio program aired on Linkage Radio in Mount Vernon, New York, called Inside the Zone. It's an informative, entertaining platform. And I'm also an MC if you would like to have hosting services for your event. You may give me a call, 914-304-2592. As a matter of fact, just last evening I hosted the VM Group's informational session here in the Bronx. I'm also a voiceover specialist, so any commercial, ebook, you name it, I'm available. And playwright, stage production manager, so much more. My name is Denise Lady D Gomez. Yes, ladies. So we're wrapping up,
Yes.
and it has been a
Yes.
Yes.
good morning.
I got eat my
Remembering
teeth
our
now.
teachers. Yes. Well, I drank my
Yeah.
tea
But just
already.
before, Lady D, can I just say, just before we leave, Sister Shirley, may know I got news this week that Brother Prince has
Brother
passed on.
Prince.
Yeah, Brother Prince.
So
Yes.
my
He's tragic.
condolences to the Prince family, the Bronxwood Church family, and
Yeah.
everybody who he has touched. He was such a
Yes.
kind person, and I can never forget
Yes.
him. And when he used to give
Yeah.
me rides home because I used to live far from church. So
Wow.
my condolences to the Prince family and our church families for
Thank
Brother
you so
Yes.
Prince.
I'll pass it on. Yeah.
Yes,
Thanks.
blessings. And so wrapping up, Ryan says, you guys are the best. You all are just like teachers back then. Thank you. He says, great job.
Thank
Charles, he
you,
says,
Ryan.
Andrea, which parish you come from? Christchurch. All right. We don't have no conversation about
That's
Barbados.
from Barbados. Barbados.
Yes, but we want to say thanks to everyone who spent the morning with us. We appreciate you, and we're trusting that you will have a very productive week coming up. And the Lord bless and keep us, and may his face continue to shine upon us. Amen.
Blessings,
Amen.
Amen.
everyone.
We love
Love you,
Thank
everyone.
you
ladies. Love
all.
you, ladies.
Blessings,
Love you too.
etc.,
Great
Walk good,
show.
all.
etc.,
Sorry, Jay,
etc.
you missed
Bye,
it.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, bye, bye.